Hi, I'm Roshan from Simplicity, and today I'm going to show you how to easily line any type of rectangular shaped soap mold. Very easy, you don't have to measure, that's a time saver. So basically what it is, you're just going to have like your soap mold. This one is a 34-inch interior, so it makes the standard 2.5 by 3 inch by 1 inch soap if you cut them that way, but this is for a loaf. So when I first started doing this, I was watching all the videos and it was talking about get your tape measure out and it has to be this dimension. We've done this so many times, there's an easier way to do it. I'm going to show you how. So you do need your freezer paper, and you want to make sure that it's the shiny side in, okay? So that's what's going to be touching the soap because that helps it to peel. So make sure, first of all, that you're doing that. All you have to do is when you're going to pull it, you just want to make sure that you're about 5 inches on either side. I just kind of eyeball that. So we're talking, I kind of go like this with my thumb, because you want to have enough room for it to come up the side and over the side and have enough room to tape it, if that makes sense. So all I do is I kind of just make sure I've got it about equally, doesn't have to be perfect. And then I take my thumbnails and I just do like a little bit of an indent. Make sure you don't crease, like rip it, you know, but you just want to go ahead and do that. So you've got a little bit of a mark. And then what you do, let me move this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. Then with that mark, you just make a fold. So make sure that you're lined up here so you've got a straight, perfect angle. And you make it a crease, and then you do it again on the other side. And it's kind of nice because that crease will actually make it so it automatically wants just to fold there. But the key part is just to make sure that the top part is lined up with that bottom part perfectly. Okay. So then what you do is you take that mold and you take your creased paper, and I just kind of fold it in half because it makes it easier to insert. And then you can kind of see this fits perfectly. It's about snug. Okay. So then you want to make sure that it's about half and half, and you can kind of see that with your paper. Then take L's, okay? Make L's with your finger. You take your L's and you go like this, and you put it down into both corners. And then you take those L's and then you make a seam like you crease that seam all the way so you've got a perfect straight edge. So important, otherwise you're gonna end up with your ends all curved. You don't want that on your soap because then you lose soap. Okay, so let me show you. So now this is what it looks like. I don't know if you can see that. Okay. Okay, then what I do, just for expedience sake, I just cut off enough so it's about halfway down. And this does not have to be perfect. I just chop it off because it makes it easier. Okay, so now what you're gonna do is you pull this out, put this off to the side, and you see how it makes these little squares, okay? You see the squares right here? Just automatically formed with the crease. What you're gonna do, you do not cut to the crease. You wanna leave 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, and you're gonna trace that little square. And you do it on both sides, okay? So this side, you're just gonna cut that little insert out. So does that make sense? So you have a little bit of a lip, a little bit of a lip. And you're gonna do that on all 4 sides. Just making sure you don't cut to the crease. Because what ends up happening is when you fold this over and you tape it onto your mold, it creates like an overlap. So then the soap, when it's saponifying, does not go through the crease, okay? So we're just gonna do that real quick. And it's really great because you can use this, you can do it on, this is our 10-pound mold. You can do it on a 3-pound mold, a 6-pound mold, a 5-pound mold, any type of mold that you wanna do this with. That's a wooden mold or ceramic or whatever it is that you wanna use, that you need to use that liner. It's a perfect way to do it. So if you've got some fun custom ones at home that you wanna try, you can do that. Okay, so now you can see this is kind of what it looks like when it's unfolded. but it has those lips on all 4 of those. So you slide it back in, using my L's again here, kind of put that back in so it's nice and straight. Okay, now what you have to do in order to get this to fold correctly, you see this part right here, you have to cut the seam now down to the top of the mold. So that way it forms, like it'll fold correctly and forms a nice clean corner. But don't go past the mold top. So this is what it's gonna look like down on the inside then, okay? So just like you were using an L before, now you're gonna use a V, okay? So what you do is you take your V, and this is kind of the little bit of the tricky part. So you have to kind of push the V down into the corners, and then you pull up, and you have to make sure that those 2 ends right here are folded over, okay? Because that's what's gonna help create that seal. And just kind of get it snug and pull it all the way over. And then I use painter's tape because it actually works to the hot part of the saponification, and I just use that to tape it down. Sometimes it takes two pieces, whatever. Okay. And then I use V on the other side. Push it into the corners there. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, and again, I pinch these so they're folded over on their crease like they're supposed to be. And then that way you get that nice, smooth corner. And then you tape it down. Okay, then all you have to do, back to using my L's again, okay? I come down and then I bring my finger up and over. See how I did that? Or you can do it with your thumbs. You can bring your thumbs up and over like this. But that way you're maintaining that crease. You crease it. Yeah, it's not wanting to stay, is it? There we go. And then you just tape it down. Spin it around and just do it the other way. Make my L's. I found that the success to making really clean, pretty soaps is to make sure that you've got really good angles on things. And it does take some practice, but honestly, once you get doing this, you can line these things so fast. Okay, there you go. That's how you line a soap mold. Happy soaping.